All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Heroes Connect Military to Manufacturing event. My name is Katie Bowerman, and I oversee the Virtual Heroes Make America SkillBridge training programs, as well as moderate our virtual events like these. So whether you're a seasoned Heroes Connect attendee or new to the show, we are happy to have everyone spending the next hour with us. So we started these events back after COVID, really to help open our military's population's eyes on the manufacturing and supply chain industry. So often our companies go unnoticed simply because folks never heard of them, right? May not recognize a company name, but we are here to change that today and all of these different events that we do. So manufacturing is such a dynamic industry, and our military talents are so well aligned with positions, tons of different positions at these companies. So we just don't know what we don't know, right? And if we don't know what positions are out there, how do we know what we can be applying into? So every time we do events like this, we're changing that perception a little bit each time and letting you guys know different positions that are available in different companies and really expose you to the industry as a whole. So let's go ahead and get started with who we're going to be talking with today, a company that you may not have heard of, but makes a ton of really cool products. So building materials, other products, even some materials for the military. So Saint-Gobain is our featured company today. So before I go ahead and bring them on, I want to do some housekeeping items. First off, the event is being recorded. It's going to be sent out as a recap email after the event. So please do be sure you stay muted throughout the event just to ensure that we have a clean recording. However, even though you're going to be muted, I don't want you to just sit there. Please still join the conversation. Use the chat box. That's where we live in this event. If you have any questions for our presenters during the event, drop it in the chat box. I'll come back after our during our Q&A session after they present, and we'll go through the different questions that you guys have. So definitely be an active participant during the event. So to kick us off, let's actually pull up that chat box right now. What I want each of you to do, so those of you who are job searching, I want you to drop in the location, so city and state, region, a couple different states, whatever you're looking at. Where are you job searching? That'll help our panelists as we get to the Q&A portion. If there's locations that you all have, locations that they have companies, and locations that we'll make it all work, right? So drop in the chat where you're going to be going. While you're doing that, I do want to briefly highlight the Manufacturing Institute, the Heroes Make America Military SkillBridge program. We have a lot of our current students on this call, but we have other military folks. So whether you're a company representative or maybe a community partner or anyone who is military affiliated, veterans, military spouses, welcome to today. So we do have a lot of folks who are joining us. But those of you who are not familiar with Heroes Make America, we are a DoD-approved SkillBridge program that's opening to transitioning service members, veterans, reservists, guardsmen, military spouses, and we provide a variety of certification trainings equipping you for rewarding careers in the manufacturing and supply chain industries. So our students learn all kinds of cool things to include safety, quality practices, technical trainings like electrical, mechanical, and pneumatic training. Then we also have logistics and warehouse distribution training, right? It just depends on the location that our folks are training with. So you can see here our program managers, our training tracks, as well as our upcoming class dates. So we will drop in our contact information to the chat. So if you're interested in learning more about the Heroes program, you let us know. All right, I did mention that Heroes is a dynamic program. We do have more than just our SkillBridge offering. We host a variety of virtual events to include ones like this, our Heroes Connect weekly events, but then we also have an upcoming virtual career fair. So on Friday, May 10th from 11 to 2 Eastern, we're going to have our next career fair. We already have about, I think, 10 companies who are already scheduled for that event. It most likely will have all the way up to 30. So please join us, mark your calendar. Registration has opened for job seekers. We'll drop that link into the chat as well. So enough about us, enough about Heroes. I want to get over to the main event. I'm going to kick it on over to Julie Vakra, Recruiting Programs Director from Saint-Gobain. Julie, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Katie. Hi, everyone. So my name is Julie Vakrat. I'm the Director of Recruiting Programs for Saint-Gobain North America. I've been with the company for 5 years, but I started as an intern back in France. So, you know, working for Saint-Gobain is a matter of the heart for me. So I stick around. And I'm joined by Terry Farrell, who is the president of our Veterans ERG. Terry, do you want to say a few words for the crowd?
Yes, thanks, Julie. Hi, everybody. My name's Terry Farrell. I am a 38-year Navy vet at this point. I'm still in the reserves. The Navy's trying to get rid of me, and I'm refusing. However, I've been with Saint-Gobain for about 9 years. As Julie mentioned, I run the veterans group for North America. So I get to talk to a lot of my veteran brothers and sisters around the country, which is pretty cool. As part of my day job, my actual job, I work on our hosted phone system, serving. I think we're up to 110 sites in North America. So it's a lot of stuff happening all the time. So welcome, and hopefully we can answer your questions and maybe find you a job.
Thank you. And I'm also joined by Dawn Rhodes. Dawn?
Hi, how is everyone this afternoon? My name's Dawn, and I work at CertainTeed, which is a division of Saint-Gobain, and I'm with the roofing division. I'm actually in Milan, Ohio, so I was watching the comments on the chat, and I did see one from Cleveland, Ohio. So we're just about an hour outside of Cleveland is where we're located at. I served in the Army Reserve for 4 years, right out of high school. And in Saint-Gobain, I've been here for 6 years in August, and I currently am an HR and training supervisor. Thank you.
Thank you all. So we can go to the next slide. I'm going to walk you through who is Saint-Gobain. So Saint-Gobain is a global company. We are headquarters in Paris, France. And the cool fact that I always like to talk about is that we may be the oldest company in the world. We were founded more than 350 years ago when the French King Louis XIV was very jealous of what the Italians could do, mirrors. And so he very strongly encouraged engineers to come and live in France to teach us how to do mirrors. When I say strongly encourage, I think he abducted them, but that's not what we say. That's all the story. So, but that's how we started, actually. We manufactured mirrors. And if you ever get the chance of, if you already have visited the Palace of Versailles, in the Paris region, you can definitely visit that gallery where all the mirrors that made that gallery famous are. And we made those 350 years ago. And so ever since then, the company has evolved and has spread it throughout the world. So we are in 76 countries. We have a lot of R&D centers because, you know, we make products, but sometimes because we invented them. Close to 170,000 employees throughout the world, 800 manufacturing sites. And I'm going to show you how many we have in US, and it's a lot. And we also have some sales outlets, but not in North America. The mission of the company is to make the world a better home. We are deeply committed to sustainability, and we have a goal of being carbon neutral in 2050. So that's a huge investment in time and money for the company because, you know, we are a manufacturing company. We are related to the construction industry, and that's 40% of CO2 emission. So that's yucky. And we are truly deeply committed at making sure our activities are not jeopardizing the planet. We can go to the next slide, please. So I'm going to focus on what we make here in North America because, you know, the group makes many things throughout the world, but in North America, what we do is first surface solutions. So any kind of surface you want to treat, you want to have a certain aspect, you're going to use a product that is abrasive to treat that surface and make it look shiny, make it look grainy, or just, you know, kind of slice it sometimes. The one example I'm going to give you is that we make the wheel that are grinding the potatoes to make chips. That's my favorite example. So, so anything you want to treat, we make the product to achieve it. The other kind of product we make is building materials. So anything that is in your house or in a hospital or in a school, we make. So you think of the siding, you think of the gypsum boards, the insulation, the ceiling tiles that are in, you know, some of the commercial buildings, and we also make the roofing shingles. So all of these are made by the CertainTeed business that Dawn works for. But Dawn, I believe you work for the roofing plant. But so maybe CertainTeed is the one brand you've heard of because it's the most popular here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We make also ceramics products. So these are very highly efficient products that are very resistant to heat, that are very solid, and you can find them in many applications, automotive or even military equipment, as I'm going to show you later. Another line of product is life science products, and those are mostly, plastics and tubes. We make medical equipments, especially. So if you think of, that tube that connects your IV to that patch of liquid of whatever medicine you're getting, we make that tube. So, very highly clean and efficient products for the medical equipments. We make flat glass. That's kind of our historical products, the glass, the mirrors, and those glass are very efficient, resist to heat, impact. They can bend, all those cool stuff that you cannot believe glass is doing. And we particularly manufacture the windshield of the Teslas. And finally, we make textiles that are very large, that are very efficient, that can clean themselves, that are retractable. And the picture you see here is, I believe, the Dallas Cowboys stadium. Sorry, I'm not super familiar with American football, but this is the stadium where the Dallas Cowboys play. So it can be a bit overwhelming, but the company is so large and old that we have collected all of those materials. But bottom line, we serve the community by making those products in a way that is very minimal when it comes to impacting the environment. And I was going to mention yes, the products that we make for the military. So, those ceramics products that I was mentioning, you can actually find them in your body armor. So you were wondering, maybe why, your jacket or your shield is so heavy. Is because you have one plate of ceramic in it, and we make it. And I believe, Terry, you have an example at your desk, right? It looks fairly...
I don't have it with me here, but yeah, I actually have two of them at my desk in the office, and people come by all the time and pick them up and hold them and marvel at how heavy they feel. We may not think they're heavy. I haven't worn them. You could kind of get used to them after a bit, but yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah, I was very, because I was presenting that slide, and I just imagined that those were like several mini plates, but no, it's like the actual big plate that covers your entire torso. That makes more sense, actually. But so yeah, we make products that actually protect you while you are wearing your body armor. And we also make equipments for your vehicle. So you see here an image of an helicopter and a Humvee. And so we make, the equipments that are inside that are light but solid and protective. So we're very also proud of participating in that.
Julie, just to add in there, one of the other things we make is sapphire glass. So it's the bullet-resistant glass for artillery vehicles and other vehicles. So it's just kind of keeping with our core thing of making glass, but all these things literally are near and dear to our hearts, and just it's nice to see that we can make something that'll save lives.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, these were just examples of how we contribute to protecting you all and your teams. And then for the next slide, I just wanted to show you, because I talked about, those 800 locations throughout the world. And in North America, we have 140 plus locations. And I say 140 plus because it's forever changing. So basically, North America is the fastest growing region for the Saint-Gobain Group. The Saint-Gobain Group is investing a lot of money in making North America grow. So we are investing a lot in new companies. So that's why I'm saying, the number of locations will change, from 1 month to the other, because we acquire more construction product companies or more construction chemical companies to always with the goal to make our offer more closer to what the customer wants, but also to make sure we offer more sustainable solutions. Because I remind you, we have a goal of carbon neutrality by 2015, and we're not joking. So I hope, one of those icons is close to where you want to leave very soon when you transition. I can obviously give you more details on what those squares are and where they are exactly when the Q&A session. But I just wanted you to show you our footprint throughout North America. Next slide, please. So now you're wondering, well, what kind of jobs do you have for me? So we basically have it all, from operators in the factory making roofing shingles with Don, or we're not replacing our CEO right now, but we are also hiring for executives. So you could be, I understand, logistics, supply chain is very big in the military, but we're also hiring a lot of HR people, our sales population is also very important to us. If you're an engineer, please apply. We are needing in engineers in the company. But basically, depending on what, doesn't really matter. Of course it matters, but you can be a specialist in any kind of field. But truly, when you come to Saint-Gobain, what you need to understand is that we truly value people who are able to nurture our culture of trust, empowerment, and collaboration. These three aspects, if you don't work with them and if you don't work with them with your team, Saint-Gobain is not for you. So I would truly emphasize on that. And then your attitudes when you are, working with us is innovation. We are an engineer company. We want people to have new ideas and to work on those ideas with their colleagues. Build an open and engaging culture. I think they go together, innovation and the open and engaging culture. We want you to be yourself. We want you to make sure that people can be themselves when they work with you. Act as an entrepreneur. So we want you to try stuff. We want you to take risks that are measured, obviously, but take risk as a team will make Saint-Gobain better. Cultivate a customer intimacy. We truly want you to understand what your customers need. So customers, I'm not just saying, the people who buy the product of Saint-Gobain, but, if you're an HR person, your customers will be the people at the plant. So understanding what they need, communicating about what you've heard, and then acting on it is super, super important. And finally, be agile. We are a very, very big company. It's super easy to think, well, it's big, old, and slow. But truly, we want you to be agile so that we can keep having that growth and that excitement within North America. So I hope you can feel how excited I am to present to you Saint-Gobain. Yeah, if you have any question, you can always, ask any of us. I believe Terry is next to talk to you a little bit more about our community engagement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you could go back to that last slide real quick, though. So if you're looking at those 5 things up there, innovate, build an open, engaging culture, all that, these are things that in the military we do all the time, right? I don't know how many guys I've seen come up with a solution on the spot, right? They're being innovative. It's just one of those things we do. We're agile, right? We are used to the whole thing of last minute tasker, get it done, and we just have to figure it out, right? And just by our very nature, people coming from different cultures and backgrounds and stuff, we're already open and engaging. So these are things that should resonate with you, and I hope they do. So, all right, next slide. So some of the things we do in the company, and one of the things I particularly like about it is there's a strong volunteer culture in the company. In fact, they give us time every year to actually volunteer and to do volunteer work outside of the company, right? So one of the things the Veterans Group does is we partner with other organizations. So there's a thing called the Veterans Village in Philadelphia, and it started out as a home for homeless female veterans. Then they opened it up to all homeless veterans. And basically, the people come in, they have an apartment there, either a 1 or 2 bedroom, depending on what they need. And they get job training, they get counseling, they get all these things just to try and help them along and get them back as a productive member of society, right? The building is the coolest thing I've seen so far. It's I believe a 4-story building. and you can see it's like 47 units in there. They built this building in 5 days. Right, it's a modular construction building. It's really cool. The other thing we do is we partner with Homes for Our Troops, and we've been doing this for 10 years now, or maybe 11. And basically, we provide roofing, siding, insulation, and gypsum drywall for these houses. And it's at no cost to Homes for Our Troops. It's just something, you know, we donate the materials for these houses, and we go out for the community kickoffs, the volunteer days, the key ceremonies. We go to the events where they're actually aligning the veterans up and training them for what's going to happen when they get the house, how they, you know, the things they need to do. It's a very, very rewarding thing. And then, of course, we try and recognize the veterans that we have internally. Right now, we have about, I don't have a firm count. We're working on it this year. That's one of my goals. We have about 1,000 veterans in North America. Depending on the size of the plant, you might only have 2. I know of one plant down in Maryland that only has 2 veterans, but you know, in Malvern, in our corporate office, I think I'm up to 30 or 40. You know, it varies, but what we try and do is make sure that we're taking care of them. So we do panel discussions on mental health from a veteran standpoint. We're setting up some training for HR, so that, you know, HR, you know, can hire more veterans, one, and understand why they should, and 2, translate military resumes, because they're not always the easiest thing to translate. And we're also looking at other education coming in to see if we can get the VA to come in and do some stuff for us. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we as a veteran and a drilling reservist in the company, this is the best company I've ever worked for. I only wish I had found it 20 years ago and not just 9. It's taking care of me when I needed it. When I have to go away on duty, I go. I just tell my boss, hey, here's my training plan, and I leave, and I get paid while I'm gone, right? And when I come back, it's as if I never left. It's just, it's the best company I've ever worked for. And I'll gush about it all day like a fanboy, but that's really all I have for this slide.
Thank you, Terry. We're gonna show you a quick video of, you know, to highlight our partnership with Homes for Our Troops, and then we'll go into a panel discussion with Terry and Dawn so that, you know, they can share their experience with Saint-Gobain as veterans.
It might be one of my favorite parts. This is amazing. Yeah, I know, right? This is I love this house. This house is amazing. It makes me feel empowered. You know, I like, you know, here in the house, you know, I can get anywhere and everywhere, you know, in my wheelchair. That's awesome. I can go from the bathroom over here all the way to my kids' room.
I really am speechless. Like, they just, every little detail, from even the kids' rooms and the living room, every little thing is just perfect.
You know, it's given me a lot of power back, so I can do anything. A lot more freedom. You know, I can go around the whole entire house right here, you know, in my wheelchair. I'm ready to move in. I'm ready.
Thank you. I think we can stop sharing, and Terry and Dawn. And I don't know, Katie, if Brendan made it to the call, but we can start the conversation.
He's not here yet, but we'll bring him in once he gets here.
Okay.
Cool. So Don, what brought you here to Saint-Gobain?
Actually, like many others, I hadn't heard of Saint-Gobain. I knew of Certainteed, and when our jobs are posted, they're listed under Saint-Gobain. So when Certainteed came up, my husband helped educate me who it was. But one thing that I really appreciate about the company, and I did from early on, is that I think it will resonate with a lot of you. During my time in service, I was very young, and my characteristics were developed by my experiences in there, and things like integrity and solidarity and respect for others are very important to me, and they're things that I've carried throughout my life. In addition to our attitudes that Julie and Terry both touched on, Saint-Gobain also has principles of conduct and action, and those are similar to everything that was important to me during my time in the military, things I believe in. So just from an ethics background, Saint-Gobain Certainteed is a perfect fit for me and my beliefs. And I appreciate that the company has those values and that we're expected to follow them and stand behind them.
Yeah, and you answered my next question too, which is why you're still here.
Right. Right. Well, and in addition to that, that's on a personal level, which is important. I think that you have to have that. But on a professional level, it'll be 6 years in August that I've been with Certainteed. And really, we all know the Army's motto is be all you can be. And I'm on my 3rd position with the company. All of them have been promotions in these years. I've had the opportunity to try different things. My management team, my coworkers, they're very open and receptive to the ideas that I have. And that actually led to my newest position, which I started in June of last year, which is more involved in training out on the floor in manufacturing. So just the opportunities have been unlimited in just a short period of time. And I appreciate that as well.
Nice. Yeah, I came here just I was working for another corporation nowhere near as big as this, and it was not a good environment. And there's at least one person that I used to work with that works for Saint-Gobain now, and she actually brought me to the company. But she could tell you, if I told you who it was, she could tell you there were times where people would stand up in the middle of the cube farm and start cursing at each other. It was that bad. And I needed to make a change in my life, and I just started looking for a job, and I saw Saint-Gobain, and I'm like, I know that name somewhere. And I called this woman up and said, hey, what can you tell me? And she said, I can tell you, you need to put an application in today. And I was hired 3 weeks later. It was a whirlwind romance. They needed the position filled because it doesn't always happen that fast, but it was the best decision I've made. I'm happy. My wife's happy. Which is a lot. That's important. The thing that keeps me here, though, is how they treat the veterans. Actually, how they treat everybody, not just the veterans.
Right.
Because we're not unique in the company. Sometimes I like to think we are, but we're not unique. I have seen the company, bend over backwards to help somebody out, and it's just so nice to see.
Right. And I think our employee emergency funds was a great example of that during COVID, when the company implemented that program and put that out there. So for, unexpected expenses, medical related, financial and stuff, the company just goes above and beyond to help everybody to see the needs and meet the needs within the organization.
Yeah. And there's so many examples. But just to toss a couple out there. Besides that, the earthquake down in Mexico a few years ago that impacted a couple of the area surrounding a couple of our plants, and how they reached out and took care of the families of those employees. Tornadoes in the Midwest, just hurricanes, things like that, where we're constantly looking out for each other. And it's not just within the office or the plant. It's nationwide. It is really cool.
Right.
So, hey, one other question. What's one skill that you brought with you from the military that you use most often in your job?
Problem solving.
Yeah.
Problem solving. And I guess to kind of go along with that is a must-do attitude. You know, we face challenges every day in manufacturing, and no is not an option. No isn't an option in the military, and no is not an option in manufacturing. You have to find a way to get it done. You might not hit the mark the first time, but just to keep thinking and working at it until you find something. And that's really key. You know, there's you know, unfortunately, a number of people that will stop at some point, become frustrated. And I think as veterans and people that are currently serving, no is not an option. You know, you just have to figure it out. So I believe that that's something that I brought that's really appreciated, aside from my experience in HR.
Yeah, I agree. If it's not problem solving for me, it would probably have to be just that sense of it. You know, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time, right? Just do the job, and you know, move on to the next thing, because there's always a next thing, right?
Right.
Yeah. Julie, how about you? What keeps you here besides working with me?
No, it's actually the people. It's funny because I've worked here in the US, and then I've worked in France, and my answer was the same when I was working back in France. It was the people we hire within Saint-Gobain are special. There is something about caring for your team, caring for others, and just, you know, recognizing that culture within Saint-Gobain. And I find that it doesn't matter where you are, so France or US or even Canada, we treat people very well. And so I think it's pretty fascinating to see that consistency. And also I'm having fun, to be fairly honest. My career has been varied. I've started, you know, as employee experience specialist, and then moved to managing the corporate foundation. And now I'm with the recruiting programs, looking at, you know, the veterans program, early career, things like that. And so I think Saint-Gobain is very good at recognizing what you bring to the table, and they are not afraid to put you, you know, in one field or the other. They will know that you will figure it out, but they will also give you the tools to get it, like the trainings, you know, the mentors. And so it's like sometimes I feel like they throw me in a deep pool without my floaties, but really felt like this sometimes. But truly, my manager was like, I know you can do it, and I'll show you. I'll show you what you're capable of. And I was like, oh, thank you. So
the reason I asked these particular questions, right, for those of you watching, is neither one of them mentioned hard skills, right? A degree program or a certificate program or anything like that. These are all soft skills that we bring with us that all of you have, right? And as a company, we're working hard to get across to the HR people, the recruiters, the talent acquisition folks, you know, to get across to them that, hey, there are soft skills that veterans bring with them that need to be recognized and that are highly desirable. So if you haven't drawn that out in your resume in some way, think about doing that, right? Try and figure out a way to bring out those soft skills that you have with you that you excel at. Okay, that's my tip for the day. So we should probably open it up for questions. What do you think?
Yeah, let me go ahead and add myself back in. One question right off the bat that I know a couple people have messaged me or dropped in the chat is brands, right? So how Saint-Gobain is the big company, but then all the North America brands that come underneath it. Can we talk through, you know, what are those? Because you mentioned Certainteed, and someone's like, is that still the same company? So can we talk through how that works?
Yeah, we have a lot of brands. I'm actually looking, I know we have a slide for it. Do we still have it in the deck, Julie?
Yeah, I ditched that slide because I felt it was too overwhelming. Because no, honestly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I could think of like 10 or 12 lines of business.
40 brands.
Yeah.
We have about 40 brands. So Norton, Certainteed, Adforce, Sage Glass, K-Can. It's just because we acquire so much,
Yeah.
we try not to lose people in the, the names, but all of those brands are under Saint-Gobain. So the best bet for you all would be to go to our career site that Katy, I believe you will share. And at least you will have access to all those brands, all the jobs in those brands. And some of those some of those job description will say, this is with the Norton business, or this is with the Certainty business. But yeah, if you go through Saint-Gobain, you shouldn't miss anything. I feel like our biggest brand, because of the most recognition and the most sight, would be Certainty.
Right. Certainty, Norton Abrasives. Sage glass is electrochromic glass. It's kind of like those Foster Grant transition lenses. So we put UV sensors on top of a building, and as the sun comes over the building, the UV level changes, and it will tint the glass on the side of the building to control the temperature in the building to make it more comfortable. So that's Solar Guard, that's Sage Glass. Solar Guard is another one of our things. It's coatings for glass. Go out to YouTube, look up Armor Coat. There's a really cool video for Armor Coat there. It's a film that goes over flat glass, and it'll show you how it makes glass tougher to break through, so that if you theoretically put it on a glass at a school, it would save the kids a little bit, give them more time to react to an intruder. There's really cool stuff out there. Our performance plastics division, I don't know any of the particular brand names. Norpro is another one. Saint-Gobain Norpro. There's a lot of brands that are under the Saint-Gobain header, but Certainty is probably the biggest in the U.S.
Would you all be open if I show the career page real quick and how they can look for the brands too? Because that's another quick
sure.
way.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I believe it's this one. Can you see the career page?
Yes.
Yeah. So then for those of you, I was like, what is the easiest way, right? On the job site, if you search for United States on the location, then all the brands are here. And then they continue, you can see all the different brand and job opportunities listed. So yeah, Terry mentioned Solar Guard, Certainty. So I thought that might be a good visual to show them where they can go and look for them as well.
Yeah, like Julie said, we've done so many things. This company, not me personally, but this company has done so many things. Seals for the space program, ceramic bearings for the Mars rovers. It's just, you're never more than 2 meters away from one of our products. If it's not drywall, it's a mobile phone. We don't make the glass on this phone, right? But we make the glass possible because we make the ceramic kiln furniture that the glass gets fired on. It's weird, like all these little things that we make. We make the tubing, like Julie said, for IVs, but we also make the tubing for those really cool soda machines that are popping up all over the place, where you select the soda types and all that. We make that tubing too. You just never know what we do.
Definitely a key point to take away is you guys are a variety of different cool products that are very underappreciated just to do our everyday life or very special circumstances. So definitely really cool. And that's what I love that you brought that all up, Terry, because I think some folks, it's still that stigma, manufacturing. They think they're going to be standing in a dark, dingy warehouse on an assembly line, putting things together, right? But that's not the world of manufacturing nowadays. And I'd be curious from any of you, Dawn, Terry, or Julie, to talk about how like more the automation, the manufacturing 4.0, how that has come about in the manufacturing processes. Can you guys talk about any examples that your companies are using, any automation or cool processes that really have brought you into this manufacturing 4.0 era?
I think I'm gonna leave that to Dawn because she's actually out at a plant.
Yes. In our roofing plant, we have a roofing line, and we're actually just working on automation. We have a full WCM team. We're doing a lot with process improvements. We've brought in a lot of new tools to help automate some of the processes and some of the suggestions out on the line. We have programs like Factory Plus, where our operators can be engaged in putting in issues that they see on the line or suggestions that they have to help the teams go out there and review the processes and make them better. So there is a lot of that going on. When you speak about environment, I do have to say I've been in HR for 26 years and manufacturing HR for all of that time. Terry had mentioned earlier he wished he had found the company years ago, and I do as well. Our environment is nothing like you would expect from manufacturing. And coming from everywhere I came from, it's very clean, it's very open, and I work in the roofing plant with asphalt and granules. It's just a really interesting thing to see. It was very eye-opening for me to see that, because it definitely wasn't like anything I had experienced, and I had a lot of experience in it. So, but yes, we're always looking for something new and better. And the great thing about that is that we have a lot of corporate support for that. We have corporate teams above us in all of these areas. So what we're not thinking of, a lot of times we get a lot of visits, they come on site and they help introduce us to things. So they don't mandate these things for us, but if there are tools that we can incorporate into our process that make them better, we have those resources available to us. So we don't always have to think of everything. We have a lot that comes in from above us to help us.
Yeah, and I would say manufacturing in other countries and where Saint-Gobain is, we learn from each other. So if I may say, I think French do insulation better within Saint-Gobain than our activities here in the US. So, the teams are always going back and forth and teaching each other, or, saying this is where I struggle. So we help each other even, cross-Atlantic. And I would say, Saint-Gobain is not 350 years old for nothing. We know how to evolve. That's how we stay alive. So anything that is, the future, we're on it. So I don't think there is a risk, for that company to disappear in the near future. And the number of opportunities or professional opportunities you will have will be phenomenal, because, the job that you will have maybe in 2 years' time doesn't exist, because we always create.
Yeah. So Julie, going back to your point about insulation and the cross training between countries and stuff, that's a good lead into Luis has a question in the chat about career progression and how we promote across different brands. So this might be a good time to talk about mobility, right? And not mobility as a mobile phone, but mobility within the company. And that's one of the things I like about it is the company encourages people to move around, right? If you are working in one place and there's a need for you to move to a different part of the country, and there's or a different country, it's just outside the U.S. And there's an opportunity for you to transfer to a location, it's encouraged, right? I know of one guy who he was born and raised in Spain. He worked for the company in Spain. He came here to the U.S. and went to Russellville, Alabama, and to run the plant down there. Julie knows who I think you probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Pedro, yeah. And
Nice.
this guy spoke very little English and came here to Alabama and ran a plant. And the team supported him, and now he's back up here at corporate. But he trained a guy to take over, and it just so happens that the guy that he took over the plant down there after Pedro left is an Army veteran. And so we encourage mobility from country to country, within the country. We also, encourage people to move up in the company because we know that our best resources are internal sometimes, where the people who are working the line today might be in the C-suite tomorrow.
Gary, I know
So
you
hopefully that
mentioned,
answers your question, Louise.
yeah, I think it probably does. Yeah, that promotability within company and across brands. I just lost my train of
And I
thought.
see, yeah, I see, Louis, you're also asking, you did apply. So So once you apply online, the best way to have your application flagged is send me an email and tell me, you know, what position you've applied to, so I can talk to the recruiter and say, please look at this application. So this oftentimes will at least get you an interview with the recruiter, and then, you know, it's your own, it's then the competition with the other candidates that will play.
I see
So
Kamari had the same
I will
question
fly
up
your
top.
application.
Yeah, and then I would also encourage you all, if you're reaching out to Julie, be sure to give her some specifics. One, if you are a Heroes Make America student, definitely flag that. If you're not one of our current students, but you attended this Heroes Connect event, mention that. So that'll help Julie as she filters through her requests, and then also which specific position, right? That might also be helpful position and location that you're interested in to help her filter through the applications. Anything else you need from them, Julie?
No, that's enough for me to kick it off.
Okay, I will ask some other kind of HR questions. Donnie might be able to help us out here, but what would you say is an average application to hire timeline? And I know it probably varies depending on salary versus hourly, but can you give us some guidelines on how quickly or really how far out these folks should be applying because they're transitioning from the military?
Right, definitely. From an hourly perspective, I'm going to say it takes maybe about 2 months. We're looking to try and pare that down. It's a little more lengthy than what I'm accustomed to, but when you factor in the drug screens and the background checks and everything, that's kind of an element that adds a little bit of a delay to that. And I'm going to say it's probably the same, pretty similar with salary. We have more corporate help with recruiting for the salary openings that we have, and we do the hourly at a local level. So that's just about it. What we do in Avery, though, is when we find candidates that are a good match, we also have a testing process, and we will actually put them in a holding queue if we fill all the positions, and we will let them know, and we'll hold on to them for the next round. I can say, I'm going to guess it's probably across the company as a whole, but especially in Avery, Ohio, we have a waiting list from employee referrals to get into here. We're just CertainTeed locally is known as the place to work. And so, you know, we take that, we appreciate that. We take that very seriously. We fill most of our openings from employee referrals, and we hold those that we can't bring on at one time for the next round of openings that we have.
Perfect. Thank you, Dawn. That was great. And so I think that's good guidelines as they're all trying to figure out their timelines for applications and where they should fall on that. Has it ever been a situation where you've got a candidate that's great, but they're not able to start maybe until a month after you want them to start because of their transition timeline? Does that ever happen?
Yes, that does happen, and we are definitely accommodating as far as that. As we find somebody who is a good fit for that, then we're going to wait. We're going to hold that position. We're going to make the arrangements to make sure that we can bring them on board. So yes, it's something we definitely consider and we work with here in Avery. Additionally, not just bringing them on, but you know, life gets busy, and a lot of times we'll hire people that have plans for 6 months out, and they're worried. They want to communicate that now because they want to make sure that they're covered for it, you know, when they need that time. And we take that all into consideration, and we make sure that we have their arrangements, and we let them know that they're able to do that when the time comes. That's a big thing as well. Not so much as the delayed start, but hey, I've got this in 3 months. I wasn't expecting to change jobs. How can we work through this? So it's another one.
Thank you. I know we always get a lot of those like HR based questions in this group because they're like, I'm ready to apply, but when should I apply and what should I do and who do I talk to? Those are all great questions that they have that we always want to address. I do have another question regarding bucket areas for career opportunities. Let me share the screen again that you had, Julie, with the different areas, you know, engineers, maintenance technicians, supply chain, IT, HR. Of course, that's not all of them, right? Those might be some hot bucket items that you all are looking for. And Terry and Dawn, maybe with your military experience, you know that there's folks, we've got infantry that are great for, you know, all kinds of positions, right? Just because their military occupation is not directly aligned to something in manufacturing, we know that there's a home for them. Can you guys talk through some examples of maybe some positions in operations or maybe that supply chain side? Kind of talk through the positions and some crosswalks to skills in the military that they might be considering. Is that too big of a question?
I don't think so. I mean, it's basically just that it's that resume translation thing that we struggle with sometimes. And one thing I would probably recommend is if read through your resume and write the resume. You may have 10 versions of your resume, right? You want to write the resume for the job that you're applying for, right? Or modify the current resumes for the job you're applying for to draw out the things that are being asked for in the job description, right? That's probably the best way I could put it. And then have somebody who is not in the military and who's not familiar with the military review your resume. Okay, because they're going to ask those same questions that some of our HR people might ask, which is what does that mean? What's a tank commander do, and how does that apply to this, right? Something like that. So I have somebody who's not in the military look at it and ask the questions. So then you can go in and refine it. But I would say tailor your resume to the job you're applying for. That's going to make it easier for the talent acquisition HR people to narrow down the focus.
Yes. And I'd like to add to that, you hit the nail on the head. Tailor it, read the position that you're applying for. But internally, we needed some help. They were in a short staffing situation back in the warehouse, and they needed help really bad back there. And it was when I first started, and I had some free time. So I offered to go back. And it was funny, they kind of looked at me and they're like, all right, you're in HR. What does HR have to offer? And I said, hey, I was the traffic management coordinator when I was in the Army. Transportation was my business. It's been a few years, but I understand the fundamentals. And I have some key things that I learned back then that I can bring. And I'm sure it wouldn't take me very long to get up to speed. So even though it was internally and it was a help type offering that I was making, that helped them understand. I was able to translate something I had done that wasn't exactly what we do here, but to let them know why that would make sense. So Terry's recommendation is perfect. Think about what you've done in the military and apply it. Even if it's loosely, there's still an application there that you can make to help them understand.
That's a great example, Dawn. Your personal example. It kind of also flagged me for I was looking at the maintenance technician. So some of our maybe working on Apaches or Bradleys or whatever, right? That's not manufacturing assembly line equipment, but talk about the translation between those skill sets and how that might apply to maintenance section.
Yes, that's definitely huge. And I can tell you that skilled trades, Saint-Gobain offers countless, unlimited job opportunities, but especially here, I'll speak for in our area in the United States, and especially in the area that I'm in, Ohio and the surrounding states, we're hurting for skilled trades. And I can, definitely any type of maintenance experience in the Army translates, whether it's, line, we can look at that. If you share what you've done, Apaches, field work that you've done that's maintenance related, you have the foundation. You definitely have the foundation. It's just a matter of learning our processes. It can be easily applied for that. So
Definitely. And then how about our senior leadership folks? Can they go directly into a leadership position at Saint-Gobain or any of the brands? And what would be your advice for those folks who are looking at those types of leadership positions from an HR perspective? Make their application more competitive.
We have those opportunities. I can tell you, I know one of the questions was from earlier. We do a lot of promoting from within as well. So I see a lot of career progression within our organization here where people get their foot in the door. So actually, if they're from my experience with the company and my role in there, when we do have to go outside for those, we will post those like you saw on the website that you shared. And then that's just a matter of sharing, again, tailoring your resume, sharing key accomplishments that you have, I think is big as well. A resume doesn't have to be traditional for I did this job from this time to this time. Some of the most interesting resumes that I've read are ones that gather up your skills and then give examples of what you've done under those. So anybody that's reading those can say, oh, that applies to what we're looking for here. So that's a different way of doing it as well, as sharing the leadership the leadership experiences that you've had and what you've done, going into a little bit of detail on those, and then letting the company interpret that to what they've done, to what they need.
Yeah, I've actually had I've applied for a couple different positions in the company over the years, and I applied for an HR position at one point, and I was asked, you're an IT guy, why are you applying for HR? And I explained to him that, hey, as a military member, running a reserve unit at the time, I was a commanding officer of a reserve unit, and I explained that, hey, all the things you're looking for that HR does, I've done. I do payroll, right? I do evals, I do discipline, I do counseling, all that kind of stuff. So I just had to make that connection for them by showing what the job tasks were in the military that weren't necessarily part of my civilian career. So it's just, sometimes you just got to make that connection for them.
You all. Yes, one last question. I know we're almost out of time, and we might have enough time for another question, but there was 2 comments about remote opportunities. So can we talk about, is this an option for manufacturing? Maybe depends right on the position, but can you talk through, are there any options for remote or hybrid?
I know well, I don't know about the plants. I can't speak to the plants. The manufacturing, but I know in the office environments, there are still some limited opportunities. I go in the office 2 to 3 days a week. Other people in the IT department do as well. Some other departments are still doing the same type of stuff. Our customer service agents for our various business lines are set up so that they can either work in the office or completely remote, or some version, hybrid version thereof. But I can't speak to the plants though. I mean, that's kind of inherent that, if you're going to be building, if you're going to be making roofing or siding or something, you really have to be on the line. But I don't know what their work days look like as far as whether it's a 4-day week, 5-day week, whatever.
That one thing that leads to that's really important is we have great work-life balance. The company focuses on that. It's important for the company. So I can say in my facility here in Avery, we have a couple of maybe the administrative positions, purchasing, and our controller that work a hybrid type schedule, but work life, we've had people that work 4-day weeks. They've taken a Tuesday off during the week and worked a Saturday instead, when now, of course, you don't have as much of that flexibility with the line positions, but with some of the support positions, those are out there and available as well. And like I said, I can't stress enough how the company focuses on work life, which is very important to most of us. So.
Yeah, there are some teams who they can be fully remote. So if I'm thinking of the world-class manufacturing team, it's a group of engineers, and they are here for one business to challenge them on processes, on materials. So, they go from one plant to another to advise. So that person can live wherever. There's just, more travel because they go to the plants. But I want to be also very transparent with you. We're manufacturing. We don't do much remote. And we also have that trust, empowerment, and collaboration culture. And the word collaboration for us means we get to have FaceTime. We get to be with people. We get to connect as human. And so that is very important to the company. And I think, there are obviously some positions that are remote, but we will make you see some people at some point.
It's good. It's fun.
Yeah, that's how we have fun.
Well, I appreciate you all. We're just about out of time. So I know there's going to be questions that didn't get answered in the chat. My biggest piece of advice is connect with these folks on LinkedIn, continue that conversation as we go forward. And when you send the request, make sure you say, hey, I was on the Heroes Connect on April 24th. That also helps them when they're filtering through accepting requests. So any last words from my Saint-Gobain team before we do some wrap-up items?
I would just like to say that I know the skills that each of you have, the things that you've learned that you can bring to the table. Don't let your experience or lack of in a manufacturing environment stop you from applying here. Saint-Gobain is always looking for people that have the skills that you have. And so just, be bold, be direct, and apply because we need you.
I can't say it any better than that. So I won't try.
And Katie, will you share our emails and LinkedIn profiles?
Yes, yep, those are in the chat box. And we will also be sending a follow-up email with the recording as well. So thank you all. We'll drop it one more time into the chat. Before I let you guys go, there will be a poll that launches. If you can just fill that out real quickly, just scroll down. There's more than one question, so you can fill out the poll. But next steps, right? Where do we go from here after we talk with such a wonderful company? What do we do? First, explore the website, right? Explore the Saint-Gobain website, explore the job opportunities, the brands, the locations, connect with or follow the Saint-Gobain page on LinkedIn, connect with Heroes Make America while you're on there, but then also connect with these folks, connect with Julie, Terry, and Dawn, and ask them questions. You know, say that you're on this event, you're a transitioning service member, looking at this type of position, you know, get their feedback as you're going through this process. They volunteered their time here today and moving forward to help to get more veterans right into Saint-Gobain. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you to my company. Thank you to all the participants. But that's a wrap. Until next week, we've got another company, May 1st, 3 o'clock. We got Niagara Bottling coming joining us, talking about a beverage manufacturing company. So thank you all and have a good day. We'll see you later.
Thanks. Take care, everybody. Good luck.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.